Welcome to the Simply Vegan podcast with me, Holly Johnson, and my co-host, Gabriella Clark. Each week we discuss the latest vegan news, taste test new products, and chat to some of the leading names in veganism. Welcome to another episode of the Simply Vegan podcast, and thank you for listening. How are you, Gabs? You all right?
I'm good, thank you, Holly. Hi, everybody.
I'm really good today because I went to my local vegan kind of health food shop and tried their vegan Cronuts, which are a combination.
Wow.
They're a combination of croissants and donuts, and they were topped with like this sort of, I don't know if it's like a coconut yogurt and raspberry coulis type sauce. Oh, incredible, really good. And
They sound delicious.
yeah, and then I'm going to go and get vegan fish and chips. I'm just being really bad. It's just incredible at the moment. Everything is just going vegan. It's just so exciting. I just love it.
It is. And you feel obliged, don't you, to keep, not only to try everything, but also to remind everybody that there's still the demand. So you're going to buy all of it just to keep it in the stores.
I know.
And then also, I think in these times, I don't know about you, Holly, but everything revolves around my next meal because I'm doing so little else. I'm constantly thinking about my next meal and what my treat will be.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just a source of comfort, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this week we took a trip to Marks and Spencer's to try some of their new plant kitchen launches, which was very exciting. Well, they've just launched a £1 pancake shaker, haven't they, in time for Pancake Day. So how did you get on with that?
So really nice novelty product for vegans for Pancake Day. I have to say, being vegan, I was the sort who would buy those easy shakers just because I have, as I've said before, I'm not the best cook. And it's usually something that you're doing just as a bit of a fun thing to do to mark Pancake Day. And I can never be kind of bothered to get everything in and give it a go. So have obviously had to avoid those the last few years. So it was really nice to have a really easy, affordable solution. And for me, tasted exactly the same. Again, maybe somebody who has had the non-vegan ones more recently might be able to tell the difference. But for me, tasted exactly the same. I used an oat milk, which was what was recommended on the instructions. My first couple weren't that good, but that was definitely down to me rather than the pancake mix. But once we got the hang of it, kind of light, fluffy, we had them with fresh lemon juice and a bit of coconut sugar, and
Lovely.
was delicious. Yeah, just a really nice, easy after dinner, a couple of sweet pancakes for dessert. Was lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a big fan.
I think it makes 6 pancakes. So obviously, you know, it wouldn't necessarily feed a big family, but I think for £1, that's really good value. And it's just, I mean, I'm the sort of person who would make them from scratch usually. I'm not a pancake fan, I have to say, unless they were savory crepes, because I'm just more savory than sweet. But obviously the kids love pancakes, and like you say, it's just a nice novelty, isn't it, doing it something a bit different, especially at the moment.
Definitely. And again, for me, I prefer them sweet, and so generally would have not having them as a meal in their own right, but having a little pancake dessert. So after dinner, when you've already cooked and you've got everything out, just to quickly shake up the bottle with some oat milk and pour it into a non-stick pan and flip. It was really easy, and again, so affordable. I think M&S should be commended for the price, because often you always find you're paying a premium just to go for the vegan option, whereas definitely doesn't feel like that now. So for me, it was exactly what I used to get, just now suits my vegan diet, and no compromise on price or flavour. So you can't ask for more than that.
You can't. I think they have upped their game, haven't they, this year? I think they've launched a lot of these new products for January last month. Shall we talk about the salt no beef roll.
I think you want to talk about that more than anybody, Holly. You've talked to me a lot about it since you've eaten it.
I've talked to an awful lot of people about this roll. New York style no-salt beef pretzel roll with slaw and dill pickle. Well, I'm a huge fan of pickles and sauerkraut and that kind of acidic flavor.
Yeah.
And this, I was so excited. I literally got in the car and I couldn't wait till I got home. I just had to eat it there and then.
Well done.
I just, yes, M&S, thank you for giving this to us. The only thing I'd say about it was the beef was maybe a bit too realistic, and it was like sort of that raw kind of, I suppose, like, is it pastrami? I don't know, but yeah, I never used to eat things like that. However, it was incredible. The cheese was delicious. It was kind of like an Emmental, gherkins, sauerkraut, and the pretzel roll was like really firm, like really. You almost looked like it was going to be really difficult to eat, but once you get stuck into it, it's just absolutely delicious. It's £3.50, which I know is a little bit pricey, but it's so substantial that you feel like you're getting your money's worth. Sometimes when you have like, you're sort of paying £3.50 for a vegan sandwich, you kind of think, that's quite a lot of money.
Falafel. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, when it's the same old falafel, but this felt like, you were getting a really good a good lunch out of it, and it's just delicious. I could have eaten 10.
Well, I have to say, my favorite thing about the roll was the beef, and maybe it's because I did used to eat food like that back in my non-vegan days, and I definitely don't miss meat, but for me it just had a really interesting flavor and texture which I don't find in my diet anymore. So it was something new. And I have seen quite a few comments similarly online that people really want the beef part of that sandwich to be sold in its own right. So if you're making your own wraps, sandwiches, rolls at home, you can use it as a filling, which I think would be a great idea, because for people transitioning or people who do really miss that texture and or flavor in their diet, it's an amazing imitation.
Really good, yeah. And the cheese, they should sell the cheese separately as well. That'd be really nice.
Yeah. Talking of cheese, you tried the feta, didn't you?
Yes, the feta cubes, which were amazing, really, really good. I mean, I haven't had feta for a long time, obviously, but I honestly don't think people would notice the difference. And great that they're already cubed, so you can just, you don't have to sort of chop it all up and then kind of try and store it, because you'd never eat the whole thing at once. It's really nice. Had lovely Greek salads the other night, which was really nice.
I do really like, vegan or non-vegan, the idea of selling it in the liquid in a tub, because like you say, we had a vegan feta the other week, and once you've drained it and then you store it in your fridge, it can be quite messy or it can dry out. So I think it's a really good packaging solution as well.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I tried, so I saw them on, in the fridge section, and I have to say they didn't appeal to me, because they're chorizo puppies. They're £3.50. I don't know, chorizo. It was one of those kind of, I used to sort of make a meal with chorizo in it, and then I'd always pick it out, because it's so oily, isn't it? And I don't know, sometimes I looked at them and they look so like chorizo. I thought they look very garlicky, oily, and like they would be really spicy, but I thought I'm going to give them a go. Oh my God, they were amazing.
Really?
Really good. I honestly didn't want to like them. They're made with mushroom, soya, red pepper, and caramelized onion, and seasoned with smoked paprika, roasted garlic, and chili powder. But then they're really not spicy. I did a Spanish sort of stew with cannellini beans and red peppers, and then the the sausages chopped up in them. And it was a really good family meal. really enjoyed them.
Interesting flavour as well, the chorizo for a vegan sausage, because often they do all taste quite similar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something different. Did you try the fish cakes?
I did, and I was very pleased to get my hands on these, having seen lots of people raving about them, and once again was not disappointed. I think, like with some of the other things that we've tried and really loved, part of the reason why for me I love them is because I haven't had something like that in such a long time. And actually fish cakes used to be quite a staple part of my diet, especially before I moved in with my partner, because they're such an easy thing to eat, especially when I was, a bit younger or a student. They're quite affordable compared with buying like big pieces of fresh fish. So I really used to love them. So I had their two melt in the middle fish cakes. So they have kind of a potatoey, fish cakey middle, the crispy breadcrumbs on the outside, and then a coconut cheesy creamy melt in the middle center.
Ooh.
They were absolutely delicious. £3.50 I believe for two. Really easy to cook in the oven, 20 minutes, and so much flavor. And for me, some of the things we've tried previously that have been fish imitations, considering I really used to love eating fish before I went vegan, I haven't enjoyed that flavor, the imitations, like some of the vegan tunas or the vegan shrimp, vegan prawn tempuras, I haven't loved. But this was the perfect balance of flavor for me that tasted like something I used to love and miss without it putting me off because it tasted too fishy.
Yeah. Oh, they sound really good. I didn't see those.
Yeah, I will definitely be buying those again, either just to have in for an easy dinner or to have one with some salad for lunch. Yeah, just again, a different type of flavor and texture that isn't so easy to come by.
Yeah. Brilliant. I lastly for the plant kitchen range, I tried the no chicken southern fried pieces, which are also £3.50. We had them for dinner as a family of four. Everyone loved them, even my son, who I was sort of talking about, isn't vegan, is sort of semi-vegan. He loved them. We had them in like flatbreads with vegan coleslaw. That wasn't from an M&S, that was from Tesco. With salads, and yeah, they were brilliant. I think the key is the coating they put on them. That southern fried. I don't know what's in it, but it tasted, really really realistic. And the texture as well was good. So
Was it quite
yes,
crispy?
yeah, they went crispy. Yeah, so we were very impressed with those. So well done, M&S, and thank you.
Thank you. And a final thing from me that I also tried were the luxury hot cross buns. I am going to slip it in because I think it's the perfect time of year to be having hot cross buns. And again, I like to think that I was very well placed to review these, having eaten quite a lot of hot cross buns recently from lots of different places, because actually a lot are accidentally vegan.
Yeah.
Across the different supermarkets and different ranges, but M&S have marketed these as luxury vegan hot cross buns, and they definitely deserve the title of luxury. They've got a really rich, deep flavor and a lovely texture. For me, they didn't toast in quite the same way. Whilst kind of the surface did get a bit toasted, they remained quite soft and squidgy in the inside. But actually, for me, that worked. That kind of added to how luxurious they tasted. £1.50 for four. Definitely wouldn't hesitate to buy those. Delicious. So yeah, overall, I've had a really delicious week. Thank you so much to the team at M&S.
Oh dear. Well, let's just discuss very quickly, one more naughty food review, and then we'll go on to something healthy, because I feel like people must think we just eat junk food or processed food or mock meats and things like that all the time. But we're actually very healthy vegans, aren't we? I mean, I eat a ton of veg, a ton of fruit, nuts, seeds, the lot. So
I think that's why we get so excited, is because it's really is a treat. And it's not often something I would go out and buy or add to my weekly shop, some of the things we get sent, but also it is things that, vegan diet, or at least in the way that you and I have approached our vegan lifestyle, is generally quite healthy, quite plant-based. So it is a treat, everything in moderation, and especially now.
yeah. Well, so I taste tested the Chicago Town stuffed crust pizza last episode, and I hadn't got round to eating the other new Chicago Town pizza launch, which are the deep dish cheeseburger pizzas, 2 for £2.50. Now, again, I really didn't want to like these. I really didn't. I mean, cheeseburger pizza, it kind of goes against everything I'm about. Anyone that knows me knows I'm very into nutrition. And I really didn't want to like them, Gabs, but they were good.
I have to say, Holly, from the sounds of this episode, your cheeseburger pizza, not even waiting to get home to eat your pretzel roll, your mask is slipping. I'm starting to see the real you.
I'm healthy, I promise. Yeah, they were a real sort of, naughty. Oh God, yeah, sod it, I'm gonna eat it. They tasted like, and obviously it's been many, even before I went vegan, I gave up McDonald's, a long time before. But they kind of taste like a McDonald's cheeseburger. With the gherkins, that flavor of the gherkins and the mustard. That's what I used to like about cheeseburgers, and I'd never enjoy the burger bit. In fact, way before I was vegan, I'd just sort of pick it out and have the roll and some of the chips or whatever. But yeah, they taste like that. So give them a try if you're feeling very naughty.
Naughty, naughty weekend treat maybe.
Exactly. So let's talk healthy things now.
I suppose we should.
So yeah, we thought we'd have a chat about superfood powders and protein powders. Do you use them on a daily basis? Is it sort of part of your diet, or are you not too?
I wouldn't say daily, but I'd say at least 3-ish times a week, I suppose. Certainly something I tend to use more in the summer, when I'm more likely to have smoothies every day. But yeah, we do use superfood powders, or kind of ground nut superfood milled seed blends as well, at least a few times a week. Only ever really for breakfast. How about you?
Yeah, same here. I'd always have them in a smoothie, or weirdly, I do put them in my cereal. So if I'm going to have like granola or muesli or something, I'll just sprinkle some over the top. The Aduna ones are great. So the hibiscus one is like a sweet kind of berry-like flavor. And I mean, it turns everything sort of ready pink, which to me isn't a bad thing. And I saw it on their website, actually. They've got a recipe for crepes, so putting them into crepes, so they'd be pink, which is a great idea. But I think these superfood powders are such a great idea, because they just kind of give you that extra boost of vitamins. So if you're having them in the morning, whether it's in a smoothie or whatever, you just know that you've covered some of your bases for the day, don't you? And that's what I like about them. The Aduna hibiscus one is good for gut health. It boosts the immune system. It reduces tiredness and fatigue, and is good for healthy, glowing skin, which I definitely need right now. It's $13.99, which sounds like a lot, but it will last forever. I mean, when I've had other packets of superfood powders, they do last a long time, and you can also get it on offer. The other one I tried recently was the Moringa. So it's Aduna still, Moringa green powder, which is the same price. And this is really good for your muscles and, again, immune system, and it helps with stress. So that's good. I mean, it's hard to tell, obviously whether it's actually working or doing anything, but I have felt, really good lately. And I do find when I get into my smoothies, I do feel a lot better. I just sometimes drop
Definitely.
off the wagon. Like you say, especially in the winter, you don't necessarily want like a cold, fruit smoothie every morning, do you? Whereas in the summer, it's a bit more appealing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just a good way to get all those foods into your diet, which is quite difficult to do in any other way. And for me, it's the same boost as taking, say, a vegan multivitamin, but it's all natural superfoods, and like you say, good for gut health, or fighting fatigue, good for your skin. So you definitely reap the benefits if it's something you can introduce into your diet
Yeah.
often. We quite often put a spoonful into overnight oats as well, because it soaks in with the milk alongside the oats overnight. So you're not left with that powdery
Yeah.
texture, and then you've got all of the goodness soaked in. But I definitely say best way to get them in is smoothies.
Yeah. And it adds a sort of a bit of flavor as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you use protein powders?
Not as often as a superfood powder. Um, no, not as often for me. How about you?
I was using them a lot when I was kind of training a few times a week back in the day when you could go to the gym or have group
Mm,
exercise classes. Remember that?
mm. Yeah.
And you didn't
No, what's that?
you didn't have to stand in front of a screen like an idiot in your lounge, kind of telling the dog to get off you. And
I have to say, I popped out early this morning to get some milk, and I walked past somebody's living room window, and they were doing a HIIT workout in front of the window, and I thought, times have changed.
I mean, personally, I find it really depressing. I hate it. I want to be back, with people. I just get such
Mm.
a buzz from working out, but also having a chat and a laugh, and you just come out and it sort of ticked all the boxes. Whereas standing in front of a screen, kind of doing your star jumps or your down dog, isn't quite the
It's
same.
hard, isn't it? I'm also, my other life, I'm also a yoga teacher outside of the podcast, and have continued teaching online. And it is difficult because you so want to be there in person with the people you're teaching or the people you're exercising with. And you always have to factor in tech issues. So it does make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved our yoga sessions this year. I shouldn't knock the Zoom. I'd much rather do it in person.
Totally. But yeah, no, it's not something, considering, exercise and yoga specifically, I practice around 2 or 3 hours a day. Protein powders aren't so much in my diet. Maybe that's something I could consider. Were you kind of seeing benefits when you were using them and training?
I just, I mean, I was using the Vivo Life ones, and they obviously have more in them than just protein. They've got a lot of nutrients and things. So again, it was kind of just ticking that box, knowing that when I had done my workout, hit, an hour of HIIT training, I'd just get home and stick some in a smoothie. And you can, because they're all different flavors as well, like vanilla
Mm-hmm.
or I've tried all sorts, carrot cake flavor, and this, that, and the other. It's just adds a nice bit of flavor, and the children would then drink the smoothie because it's got a nice flavor to it. So yeah, again, it sort of makes you feel better knowing that you've kind of got all those nutrients in, and then everything else you eat for the day is kind of an extra bonus on top of that, I guess.
You've inspired me to have a think about those.
Yeah,
It's so easy to get drawn into all the naughty stuff that you see on Instagram as a treat, but actually the boost that you get from all the good stuff in your local health food stores or online is amazing. So yeah, great to find the balance.
Yeah, I have to say, when I accidentally ordered too much from Riverford, I forgot to sort of cancel the order, and I've had so much fruit and veg, and I do feel so much better, and I have so much more energy if I'm eating plant-based rather than vegan.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel a lot better, but the treats are just, you know, like you say, at the moment, they're lovely to have. And it's just incredible to see so much of it. I found, you mentioned a few episodes ago, the squeaky bean meats.
Oh yes, did you find it?
I finally found them and got very excited again. They were £2 in Tesco, and you get quite a few slices, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
So I got it was sort of like the deli meat that you would get in a New York.
Pastrami.
Pastrami, that's the one. So I tried to sort of almost recreate the Marks and Spencer's salt beef.
Did you like the salt beef bake? You haven't mentioned that you like that.
I put some gherkins with the pastrami, and that was really good. And yeah, it's just amazing. Every time I go into the supermarkets, new things are popping up. So yay for veganism.
Yay for veganism, yay for options. And, you know, a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have had these treats to get us through. So very lucky to have all of this delicious stuff to try.
Yeah, well, keep listening, everyone. I'm speaking to Chad Sarno. The first ever podcast that I recorded for the Simply Vegan podcast was with Derek Sarno. They are both the plant-based chefs behind Wicked Kitchen Range at Tesco. So I had a really good chat with Chad. His baby is called Good Catch, which is the kind of, it's a vegan fish brand. And they're launching lots of new products this year, so that's something really exciting to look forward to. And he's just so about saving the animals. It's just so inspiring, like everything he does. And Derek as well, you know, it's all about, you know, just spreading the word and using their time on this planet to you know, to do what they can just to sort of make a change. So
Amazing, guys.
Really
Amazing.
good interview. Well, thank you, Gabriella. I'll see you this time next week.
Thank you, Holly. Take care.
Hi, Chad. How are you?
I am great, Holly. Thanks for having me on.
So you're in Texas today, and it's 9 a.m. and I'm in the gloomy UK, and it's 3 p.m. What's the weather like where you are?
It's pretty gloomy. It's finally starting to get cold. I mean, it's taken us a while. It's a little slower in going down here with weather, but it fluctuates. It's quite warm, and then it gets below freezing, and it just hit below freezing today. So.
Oh, okay. So I was lucky enough to chat to your brother Derek last year for our very first Simply Vegan podcast, actually. But you went vegan before him, didn't you? You sort of led the way.
Well, I guess you can say that. I don't know what coming from him. I'm not sure what I'll say, but yeah. I was that hippie vegan brother that preached a lot. You know, trying to get we all want our family to, you know, embrace more plants. And you know, once you see what's behind the curtain, it's kind of hard to unsee it. You know what I mean? And so you want to help everybody along the way. And I was quite young at that time, and you know, I've been vegan for over 20 years, and I pushed it pretty hard on my family, which I was on my soapbox quite a bit. So I think that probably made him a little annoyed. He came around though, about 5-6 years ago, something like that. So
brilliant. Took you a while though to wear him down.
Definitely did chip away, you know.
Yeah, we've all been there. I did exactly the same, and I'm still wearing my mum down to get her off the dairy milk. She's vegetarian, but we've all got a big soft spot for Derek here in the UK. So it's lovely to chat to you as well. So I mean, why did you go vegan in the first place then?
I started at a young age. I had really bad asthma growing up, you know. I was on multiple inhalers and, you know, to the point of, you know, breathing off a nebulizer every weekend. It got to that point in my early teenage years. And someone had mentioned dairy contributed to asthma, and I was willing to do anything at the time, and I stopped eating dairy products. So I stopped eating dairy before seafood or anything like that. So I stopped eating dairy products, and within 6 months I was off inhalers, so that put me, you know, and I think a lot of people get pushed up against a wall to actually realize that you know, health and food, that connection is real, you know. So so that put me on the path of health. I got into raw foods actually for quite some time first, for a number of years actually, but during that time, you know, I was introduced to it by through like nutrition and you know, the connection of food and health. But then I started to kind of, you know, peel off the layers, and you know, I started to understand a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes of behind the walls of slaughterhouses and dairy farms and all that, and yeah, that just pushed me further. So
yeah, there's no going back after that, is there?
oh, there really isn't. There really isn't.
It's amazing though that your asthma cleared up within 6 months. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I've heard it from a ton of people, the same thing. You know, once I share that story, people, you know, many people are like, you know, I was introduced the same way. I mean, I used to work with Woody Harrelson. I was his chef for a number of years,
Oh,
and
wow.
he was introduced to veganism through asthma. So
Okay.
as well, which is interesting. You don't hear much about that, but
Yeah.
and I was just speaking to this other vegan business owner here in town in Austin that's opening up a food truck here, and he was sharing his story, same thing, you know. And so it's interesting. I mean, I think more and more people are connecting the dots of the effects that food has on our health, particularly dairy. You know, it's you know, linked to so much, you know, digestive issues and you know, acne issues and, you know, asthma and so forth. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've in the UK, we've seen a huge rise in the popularity of veganism over the last few years. The Wicked Kitchen range is just massive, you know, so popular here. Have you seen the same kind of excitement in America?
I mean, we certainly have. There's definitely there's excitement on all levels, right? Because there's you know, I think there's definitely a growing population of consumers that are looking to diversify their diet when it comes to protein consumption, right? But it's caught the eye of investors, animal ag, QSRs, like quick service restaurants, you know, and so it's and once you hit that threshold, I think it goes far beyond a trend. You know what I mean? It's here to stay. It's a big business opportunity for people within the VC community and just investment community. And most animal ag companies are, you know, the Hormels, the Maple Leafs, Tyson, PHW, all of these large animal ag companies are looking to diversify their offering and call themselves protein companies and no more pork company or poultry company or what have you, which is, you know, quite a shift in the past 10 years, you know. So we're definitely seeing it here, but it's, if you look at the growing sort of flexitarian, I can't stand that word, but once you look at the growing flexitarian population, I mean, the UK is definitely leading the pack. I mean, 70% of consumers are looking to diversify their protein, and in the US, I think it's around 40 something.
Okay.
But yeah, when we launched the Wicked Kitchen line, as you know, I mean, Tesco had a fruit cup and a falafel wrap, right? And then we launched the Wicked,
Yeah.
we launched the Wicked Kitchen line, and there was 20 products, you know, 19 products out of the gate, and so it was under embargo for quite some time, and so when it launched, it was a big splash, as you know, selling out in hours and multiple stores, and so now it's become a competitive landscape, you know. So every retailer is now competing against Tesco, and because Wicked Kitchen launched ahead of time, you know, we're just miles ahead with that line. You know, I think we're up to about 90 products in store, not including the plant chef products that Derek signs off on. So
Yeah. Yeah, there seems to be no end to it. Every time I go into Tesco, there's just loads more products. It's
yeah,
incredible.
there's a really exciting pipeline too. So
Really?
it's really, you know, there's a lot right now. I mean, more than a lot right now, but it's massive what's going to continue. So
You can't give us any clues on what's to come
nope.
next. You're so mean.
With the Wicked Kitchen, nope. I'll let Derek release
I'll
that.
ask Derek instead.
Yeah.
So let's talk about vegan kids. So you've got 2 little boys and a daughter.
Yeah,
So are they all vegan?
my daughter eats dairy a little bit here and there. We don't cook it at the house, but my boys, they're vegan. I mean, I have 4 and 1 are their ages, and there's no need to ever look for anything but vegan food for them. And it's how we eat at home, so it's and they're perfectly healthy, and as long as they're getting enough fats and proteins and so
Yeah, I think it's easier when they're younger, isn't it? It's kind of
they have no choice, right? They're like food in front of me, right? So it's
exactly
my little 1-year-old, as we teach our boys sign language, my wife does, and so just so they can ask and communicate. So my little boy, who's 1, is communicating. He says like more and again and like all of these little like signs that so every time he has any food in front of him, he's just like
oh, bless him.
more. So which is great.
Cute.
So
do you ever get negative reactions? Because it's one of those sort of it's almost, I don't know, controversial, isn't it? Oh, you're raising your children vegan, they don't have a choice. Do you ever get kind of people saying things like that to you? Or
no, I mean, we've had comments on like the Wicked Kids cooking series on YouTube. We've had comments on that randomly, but people know better than to make those comments to me. Just because I've just been, it's my world, and I don't think people maybe think it, but it's very few have voiced it. So
yeah,
I know there's controversy out there with raising vegan kids and raising raw food kids and all that, but it's about having a balanced diet. There's so many products on the market these days that, you can eat crap, you can eat absolute shit as a vegan, right? And but if you're incorporating enough whole food fats and enough plant protein and a variety of colored vegetables and fruits, you're good to go. Like there's nothing to argue about with that, just clean food.
Yeah. People that have sort of said things to me, it's kind of, and I know a lot of people online sort of say the same thing. A lot of, Earthling Ed and people like that, you can kind of flip it on its head, can't you? And say, well, should you be feeding them meat and dairy and things that we know are bad
and
for
processed crap? Am I gonna give my kids loads of sugar and soda? And no, heck no.
Yeah.
But, I'm also not gonna just feed my kids apples and lettuce. So, you know what I mean? I'm gonna, when I make dinners, it's pasta and meatballs and enchiladas and pizza, and it's what kids love. It just happens to be that they're also eating a salad with it or a smoothie with it, or so.
Yeah. Do you always cook from scratch, or do you cheat sometimes?
Oh, I certainly cheat. When you have kids, you cheat.
Yeah.
So I, they're all, there's some, they're picky. My little 1-year-old, he's only started eating recently, but he'll eat anything that's in front of him. My daughter's a little picky, but usually I'm only making around a variety of 2 meals every meal. But yeah, it's I do a lot from scratch. So I'll make soups in the beginning of the week. I'll batch cook a lot, so I'll on the Sunday, on the weekends, I tend to really focus on just being with my kids and trying not to work. I know that there's, many weekends recently that I've been, but it's my time to spend with my kids, and so I a lot of that is in the kitchen. So I'll make soups, I'll make a big pot of beans for the week, I'll make even a big pot of grains. If I cook up a big batch of rice or wild rice or anything like that, I can use it throughout the week in salads and different wraps and so forth. Or I'll fry a bunch of tofu or grill vegetables or roast vegetables, and that way it makes it easier during the week. So my days are been busy lately, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So
yeah, that's a really good tip, actually. Your Wicked Healthy Kids Cookery classes, were they last year you ran those on YouTube?
We ran them last year. I look back at them, and my little boy's so small. I think he was like 2.
So cute.
Yeah, little Kai was like 2 then, and all of our neighbor kids. But yeah, it's we first launched the classes as a small paid class, and then COVID hit, and then we're just, why are we doing this? Like, we don't need to sell anything. We and people we're at home, so we made all of our classes for free. So we have the party class that just started launching. It launches every week, which is just family parties, of course, just entertaining and stuff. And then we have the kids class that we made completely free, so which is on YouTube. So
Yeah, yeah, I'd encourage anyone to go and watch them because, yeah, like you say, your little one is so cute. He's, yes, chef, yes, chef. It's really sweet.
It's the Wicked Foods YouTube channel. There's a
Yeah.
playlist on that.
So your other baby is the plant-based fish brand, Good Catch.
Correct.
So tell us a bit about how that came about.
Yeah, so both Eric and I were founders of Wicked Healthy, right? We started Wicked Healthy a while back, and he's just led Wicked Kitchen, and I've led Good Catch here. So, but we've developed them both together. So during this, it was about 3.5 years ago or so, right around the time that we were both in sort of a transition mode of what's next, and we knew that we wanted to create some product lines. Tesco had reached out. Derek picked up that call and started running with that. We also developed, we saw the white space. We had some very close investors that we work with here. One of our dear friends, Chris Kerr, he leads Unovis, and also New Crop Capital he did for a while, or still does. And so we were talking with him about identifying the white space. I mean, we've been in this space for quite some time, and so it's a small world, you know. I mean, we know all the players, and all the Impossible and Beyond, the founders of those, and all the dairy companies, non-dairy companies. So we were looking at really the white space of being seafood. We knew that out of the gate because there's not many, if any, options at the time a few years ago. And so we wanted to, what's led Wicked Healthy and what's led us to Wicked Kitchen and also creating Good Catch was, what's been a driver for us is the focus of impact opportunity, and looking at where we can have the greatest impact. At the end of the day, we're very mission based. I'm doing everything I do for the animals and for my kids' future. I'm very much an ethical vegan. That's why I can sit there and eat, vegan cheeseburgers, and it's I love food, but my love for animals wins, right? So, focusing on impact opportunity, we saw obviously launching within a retailer. We both were at Whole Foods prior, but we wanted to go bigger. So when Tesco made that call, it was a huge opportunity for Derek to jump on that, representing Wicked. And so we looked at, okay, where can we really disrupt? And we were identified it as a seafood space. It needed and still needs some serious disruption, because as we know, it's one of the most unspoken destructive industries globally that's affecting billions of sea life in our oceans. So we wanted to, jump on that impact opportunity. So we got our investors behind us, and we identified with Good Food Institute where the greatest impact was going to be. And tuna fisheries are highly destructive to our oceans. So factory fisheries, and so we really focused on that category of seafood, and then we identified it as fin fish being the greatest focus, and really our where we needed to lead the way. So we developed this product initially to disrupt the space, and so we developed a shelf-stable tuna product that would sit right next to the real tuna in the tuna aisle, and it was sort of our land grab, so to speak, just to kind of get our brand out there. And within a year of launch, we caught the eye of Bumblebee, which is one of the largest tuna companies, at least the largest in the US. We caught the eye of Bumblebee, and now fast forward a couple of years later, they're one of our most valuable partners in the company, and they're our distribution partner. They're an incredible company, even though don't necessarily agree with some of the practices, obviously, because of my ethical veganness. But in terms of like what they've done and what they're doing for sustainable fisheries and all of that, and really focusing on alternative proteins and that represent ocean food. So that's what they call our food, our brand. And they, just like those other animal ag companies, are looking to diversify their protein opportunity. And they see the massive need for plant-based protein, because they see our fish stocks declining, and they see the destruction, and they see so it was a pretty amazing partnership and some very powerful conversations initially, right? So we so fast forward a couple of years of launching the product, we had another raise, and we opened up our manufacturing facility in Ohio. So we just opened it up in June. We just launched our frozen line, which is super exciting. So we initially launched with 3 shelf-stable tunas, which are available in the UK and throughout the US and Canada, which is Naked Water, an oil and herb, and a Mediterranean. Just opened up our facility here with no capacity issues that will in the foreseeable future. So we're all of our IP is in house, which is great. We launched 3 frozen products. We launched a fish burger, a classic fish burger, which is amazing, and then a New England style crab cake, and then a Thai fish cake. So we just launched those, and then we just launched our food service product, which we just rolled out in 7 regions in Whole Foods and a couple QSRs around the country, in the US anyways, which is super exciting. So that brings us to today. So, 3 years ago, this is when, Tesco's, the Wicked Kitchen line and Good Catch were seated right around the same time, like literally probably the same month.
Right. So when can we expect to see the crab cakes and the fish cakes?
So spring, early summer, I would say. So we'll be able to, speak to that pretty soon, but it's they'll be there soon, which we're very excited about. So
I'm very excited about that. I used to love crab. I mean, obviously now I just would never touch
these
it. But...
there's quite a difference from like some crab cakes around the world, mainly in different Asian cultures, they're more like fish balls where they're a little more bouncy, and then New England style, the reason we specified that is because a New England style crab cake is more like it falls with the fork, so you cut it and it doesn't, your fork doesn't bounce off it, right? So it's a really good product, and we have some very exciting products that are also hitting in the spring, which we're going to be announcing soon as well. So
amazing. Oh, I'm really excited to try them.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say to anyone who still thinks that eating fish can be sustainable?
The most sustainable seafood is keeping it off your plate. I mean, in my opinion, it's I mean, when we're at trade shows and everybody has their own pitches with Good Catch, and one of them is, this is the most sustainable seafood in the world because it's made out of beans. So, and that's what I didn't mention is our instead of using just soy or just pea, we have a 6 legume blend. So it's out of all the plant proteins out there, and plant meats and so forth, they're all mostly soy or pea. And so we needed to diversify the protein, kind of mix it up for digestibility, and also to get that thin layering of protein that you find in like a cooked fish. It's very different than like a cooked chicken or beef or so forth that you're trying to mimic. So we have a 6 legume blend, which is pea, soy, chickpea, lentil, fava, and navy bean. So which is pretty incredible. So that's our base protein blend of our current products. So
because I think a lot of people, it's often cited, fish and cheese are kind of 2 things that a lot of people say, oh, I couldn't give them up. And I think a lot of people think of fish as something healthy that you should keep in your diet, that obviously the good fats and things like that. So
yeah, it's interesting because it's when we were developing this product, there was a number of boxes that we wanted to check. We wanted to make sure, so we in polling a number of consumers, like we wanted to take the positive attributes that people saw with tuna, fin fish, tuna and salmon, and then also address the negative attributes. And across the board, it was smell is the negative one, obviously, right? So for some reason, when I've worked in kitchens my whole life. So if you have seafood in your kitchen and it starts to smell, it means it's bad and you throw it out. You know what I mean? And for some reason, canned tuna has gotten a hall pass for I don't know what reason. And so we knew we needed to make something that didn't smell, right? The other one was texture. People love the texture and that sort of dry bite, that clean protein taste, right? Yeah. And then people wanted it clean. and high in protein. People eat fish and tuna. They reach for tuna because it's super high in protein, right? Low in fat. So we needed that to be the focus. Our product is around 20 grams of protein, 21 grams of protein per serving, which is on par, if not higher than albacore. So, which is great. So we wanted to, during the development process, we had to check all these boxes. One, obviously we knew the smell piece, the texture from having it as an on par experience to what people are used to. It being a clean protein, it being a high in protein, low in fat, low in sodium, or average in sodium, and then from a functional standpoint, and this is where I think the plant-based world has just accelerated very quickly. Is the bar has been set really high, as you know, with like the products that are coming to market now. Is you can't come to market with a hockey puck veggie burger anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a place for that with, you know, grain and bean burger, but you're not gonna, you know, tempt a meat eater with a black bean burger. You know what I mean? But biting into Beyond Meat or Impossible or something like that, or the other products that are out there, you certainly can. And so that bar has been set really high, not only from a taste and appearance, and sort of a satisfying experience side of things, but it's also the functionality piece. That's huge. From a culinary standpoint, the functionality piece is what's held up the vegan world for a long time, I feel, because products didn't function like people were used to. So if you were to go to a restaurant and say, hey chef, try this plant-based cheese, and it doesn't melt unless you steam it, then it's going to be a problem, you know, because they need to cook it differently and they need to act with it differently. It's the same thing with butters back in, you know, 5 years ago. Even some of the butters on the market, they burn way faster than regular butter, right? And so now I think the rise of plant-based proteins has been the functionality piece is so easy. People can cook a Beyond Burger just like they would regular burgers, or now with Good Catch, they can basically take the product and they can use it just like you would tuna, you know, and even taking it to the next step, it holds up in warm applications. So we do a lot of recipe development internally with our culinary team, and you know, using the product in simmer sauces and casseroles and things as such, it doesn't break down like a lot of plant-based meats. If you put a plant-based meat, a lot of them on the market, in like a simmer sauce, like a curry or a tomato-based sauce, or you know, a soup or anything like that, it breaks down, right? And it almost disintegrates if it sits in there too long.
Yeah, it's very soft, isn't it? A lot of the
yeah,
time.
it's super soft, and it doesn't tighten up or whatever like a normal protein would. And so that's one huge benefit with Good Catch, is that it works great in warm applications also. So so we have a ton of recipes and inspiration on our website, and we're only creating a lot more just for that inspiration piece of how to work with the product. So
I'll have to have a look at that, because I haven't tried cooking with it. I have had it with, you know, as like a tuna mayo. Is that a thing in America? Does everyone have tuna mayo?
Yeah, tuna mayo, but we don't put sweet corn in it. I know you'll put sweet corn in it.
Love a bit of sweet corn, yeah.
And you put on baked potatoes too, right?
Yeah, really good.
Potato with sweet corn tuna, something like that. So
is that not what you do over there then?
No, we put it in tuna melts. A classic like deli style, New York style tuna melt would be like little celery, onion, pickle, or caper. Maybe dill if you're feeling crazy, but super simple with mayo, you know, and then just melted cheddar on rye.
Yeah. Oh my God, that sounds really good. I'm getting hungry.
I know, I'm all hungry right now. So Veggie Grill, they have about 40, I think around 40 locations in the US. They were our launch partner for food service.
Right.
And they have an incredible Good Catch tuna melt on the menu. So and it was only a limited time offer, and they just made it a permanent item.
Wow.
It's selling better than most products on the menu, which is incredible. So
can we expect that over here in our restaurants anytime?
Certainly can. We're talking to a number of them. So
amazing.
2021 is a very big year for Good Catch. It's a very big year for Wicked, and you know, and most importantly, there's a lot of work being done for animals. So.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm very excited now. Thank you for telling us all about it. So what can we, well, you've kind of touched on what we can expect next from you, and you obviously can't let us in on what products are launching. You still continue to work closely with your brother Derek.
Oh yeah, I mean we're partners and everything.
Yeah.
We're both founders of both Good Catch and Wicked Kitchen Lines, and it's not a secret, but because we just had a press release come out about a month and a half ago or so, but we've basically taken the success of Wicked Kitchen and we're launching in a number of different countries. So Wicked Foods, it's under the brand Wicked Foods. People can check it out at eatwickedfoods.com. But it's basically we're launching a company using a lot of the same products that have been success stories over in UK and launching them in the US this year. So, which is very exciting. So under the brand Wicked Foods. So
does he come back and visit you very often?
No.
It's too busy.
The reason we work so well together is because there's an ocean between us.
Typical sibling rivalry.
No, I think that, I mean, we have mutual respect for what each other does, and we, you know, the biggest thing is like, and we get that question a lot, is how do you work with your brother? Like, isn't it a pain in the ass? And I have to be his translator sometimes and make sure that people don't take him seriously about what he actually said sometimes. Oh, he didn't really mean that, but I play the good cop. But no, it's amazing. I mean, we both have mad respect for each other, and the most important piece is we're on a mission. We're doing it because there's a much bigger play than launching food, you know, and making a buck. It's, you know, we want to make some serious change as much as we possibly can while we're here. So
yeah, and you're definitely doing that, definitely. Okay, one more question just to finish. If you could turn one person vegan in the world, who would it be?
That is a good question. One person? I mean, I know people say it only takes one person, but it doesn't. It's someone asked me that recently, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it because I think it's far more than one person.
Someone said Trump, but obviously he's kind of irrelevant now.
I don't even like to speak his name.
No.
But yeah, it's no, I mean he certainly needs a little bit of compassion, so that opens up the curtains of compassion a little more.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll have to give that some thought.
Okay, well, thank you so much. It's been such an honor to speak to you today, and thank you for all the work
Holly.
you're doing.
Thank you. You too, and anything I can ever support you with, let me know. So
well,
thank you for what you're doing.
Send me some of those crab cakes.
You got it. You got it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Well, that's it for this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Simply Vegan podcast on your platform of choice. Leave us a review or follow us on Instagram at Simply Vegan Podcast and at Vegan Food and Living.